Around the NFL podcast. He's really digging the Mike McCarthy glow-up.
Oh, from the Chris Wessling podcast studio, it's the Around the NFL podcast. Dan Hans is here, Greg Rosenthal, and in the new studio for the first time, and what a treat, it is Connie Fox.
What a place this is.
Whoa.
It's like it's still got that new car smell. Everything is like bright and shiny. People are smiling. I think because they're wearing masks, but their eyes are smiling.
Uh-huh.
You were just giving me major like Kristen Wiig vibes of that character. She was like, where she was just like, oh, I'm so excited.
Turn this up in the headphones, Ricky.
Not the first time I've been called that, Kristen Wiig. But now I'm back into the wolf vibes.
The main reason we're here with you, Connie, because the Eagles lost by 20 points on Monday Night Football. And it could have been 38.
You could blur that out, right? That loss? Blur it out from my memory.
But it's great to have you, Connie, sitting in for Mark Sessler, who is on the mend. And, we told Mark, take your time, get right, come back. And he is very antsy, but also knows he needs to give this a little time. So Mark is on the right path. Everybody should know that. He's not in a hospital. He's recuperating at home, but he's taking it easy. And Connie, nice enough to be in the Sessler chair. And when you're in the Sessler chair, Connie Fox, the tiny box, you got to bring that Sessler energy.
Well, I definitely had to come in this week after you called me big box last week. Like, that's not going to happen. So that's a great way to get me in the studio.
I floated huge box.
Huge box. That's what it was. I'm sorry. I stand corrected.
But I don't think that one's going to take. All right.
I hope not. Please.
And we will. You're always on the Tuesday show to talk Thursday Night Football, and we're going to get to that in a little bit. The Jacksonville Jaguars at Cincinnati Bengals. We'll get caught up to date on if Colleen used any of ATN slang and any other ATN Easter eggs on last Thursday's telecast on NFL Network. So I'm excited to hear about that coming up later in this episode as well. We will we're going to break down we'll call it this, buy or sell on extreme starts. So teams that are 3-0, teams that are 0-3, maybe teams that aren't winless or undefeated but have had kind of extreme starts, if we want to touch on some teams there. So let's check in on where teams are as we head toward week 4. But before any of that, we got to close the door on week 3. And yes, we got to do it in Big D and talk about the Eagles. Let's do it.
Hurts in the gun. Goddard sets up right. Back to throw. Check down. Over the middle. Intercepted by Diggs. Right sideline. 30. Diggs 20. Diggs house. Devontae Smith fell down. And Trayvon Diggs is the second Cowboy ever to intercept passes in the first 3 games of the season.
Connie is looking skyward for answers on this Eagles season. There are none coming.
Nope.
Brad Sham, the Sham God for KRLD. I'll tell you what, Greg Rosenthal, that Trayvon Diggs is a player. He's a nice little player.
Talk about a glow up.
Yeah, glow up. His pick 6 really sealed the deal early in the third quarter for the Cowboys, who got ahead early on the Eagles and coasted from there. 41-21 final at Jerry World. And Connie, you got a really nice win in week 1 on the road in Atlanta. Then the Eagles in week 2 fight hard against a very good 49ers team. Come up short. Could have went the other way if they execute better, but they didn't. And now, how do you make sense of a total blowout at the hands of a division rival like this?
The worst part was the fact that it was in prime time against the Cowboys. So it was just insult. Right. And I asked my mom yesterday before the game, oh, what are you going to do tonight? Well, what are you and Dad up to? And she's like, we're going to watch the Eagles lose. So she already knew what was coming. That's why.
True Philadelphian.
Exactly. I'm wearing my Bad Things Happen in Philadelphia shirt today because I can feel the anger all the way here in Los Angeles.
Right.
This team looked a mess last night,
Bad.
and it started off right away with the Cowboys just coming out to such a hot start, and they were feeling themselves, and you could see it at the half. The Cowboys had more first downs, I believe, than the Eagles had run total plays. So it was just all so one-sided.
At the end of the first half, Greg, I don't know if you saw this stat, but this was wild. At the end of the first half, the Cowboys had a 19-1 first down advantage.
I mean, it's outrageous. And even our response to it is a little outrageous because, like, Connie, you're a Philly fan. Gonzo, is he still a Philly fan? I mean,
well, he was born there, so I guess it comes with the territory. But
yeah,
he was.
Actually, he was born in Vegas. I stand corrected. Never
Yeah, I think we have that in his bio, maybe. But John has been in too many press boxes, so sometimes he has a detached viewpoint on sports. But you're saying that secretly he's a little upset about the Eagles letting you down.
He doesn't really get upset about the Eagles or Philadelphia teams. He's happy about it, or then he kind of just laughs at them. So it's not really. I think it's a defense mechanism more than anything else.
And like what I was getting to is like, I'm sneaky an Eagles fan. I don't know if you know that about
What?
me.
No, you're
but
not.
I really am. I think Dan would know
Well,
this.
Greg's a fan of 30 to 31 teams.
I always root for them. I've loved them since Andy Reid was there. How can you not love Andy Reid? Was always one of my favorite.
Yeah, but Andy Reid's now at the Chiefs.
Teams to watch. I know,
many
but
years.
it's like I know people who like the Eagles who maybe work for the Eagles. My daughter likes the Eagles for some reason. She just likes birds. Anyways, I've overrated them going into this, but they're not the main characters here. They're just kind of there. Like this was a story about the Cowboys. The Cowboys are one of the stories of the 2021 season. The Eagles, maybe they'll have a chance to be frisky or in the mix or not. Like everyone looked at this division as like, well, maybe it only takes 7, 8, 9 wins. No, I mean the ceiling has been raised significantly. Number one, the offense, which you thought, okay, on paper, maybe this is one of the best offenses in the league, but for some reason I was doubting it. I wanted to see Dak back from his injury. I wanted to see the offensive line all back from their things. I wanted to see it all work again. And then you watch it for these 3 games, and you're like, oh, wait, these are all veterans who have been with Kellen Moore forever, who are awesome, continuity, and a quarterback who's in total control. And then the bigger surprise is that Dan Quinn has their defense playing frisky. And suddenly I'm looking at this Cowboys team, I'm thinking, this is not a division that should be close. They are going to be the heavy favorites in all their division games. They are the best offense, not just in the division, but maybe in the entire NFL. And this is going to be a story. I'm not falling for these Cowboys, but I'm believing it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how much you can put, how much stock can you put into the fact that the Cowboys with the Eagles looking so bad
But the
last
Eagles
night.
hadn't given up a play over 20 yards like all season going into this game. And I know they were playing the Falcons and the 49ers, but they were extremely competitive and looked pretty well coached on defense. And I know they've lost some players, and that's going to hurt them. But to me, it's more just about great offense versus a good defense. And great offense is going to walk them all over the field, kind of like they did to the Chargers, even though that it didn't show on the scoreboard. They have moved the ball really well 3 straight weeks.
I wrote in the new power rankings, the first line I wrote, the Cowboys look like the best team in the NFC East, and it's not particularly close. So this idea that a lot of us had coming into the season that this division could play out like it did last year, where it's a bunch of fumbling teams around 500, maybe a 10-7 team comes out of the mix, but it's probably like 9-8 beats out 8-9 to go to the playoffs. I don't know, man. This looks like a 10 or 11 win Cowboy team. And if we're giving Kellen Moore credit, we're giving Dan Quinn credit. I know he's not a popular character here, but Mike McCarthy is the head coach.
I'm not giving him any credit.
And I know
really
he made
not.
some time management errors.
What does
at
he
the end of
really
the
do
first
there?
half.
You know what he's going to do is watch Kellen Moore become the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, like after this season, even if they go to the playoffs.
It's
That's
one of
what I would
my
predict.
least favorite tropes of this podcast, where we become enemies. We see veteran coaches as enemies and don't give them any credit without realizing that they're running the operation. So if the coaching staff is thriving, you have to give the boss some credit. He's not a boss getting a massage up there by himself during team meetings. Oh, wait, he was at some point, but that was a long time ago. The point being that Monday was filled with mojo moments for Mike McCarthy's team. And it's not just CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper that are making big plays. It is Ezekiel Elliott. After all that hand-wringing, Zeke looks fine. He had a big game here. It is Tony Pollard. It's a great 1-2 punch there. Dalton Schultz is making plays. I don't know where they get these guys, these Novacek, Witten, Schultz types, but the Cowboys always seem to do it. And Trayvon Diggs, They needed stars, and talked about this before the season, to emerge on defense. Micah Parsons seems like he's going to be that guy. Trayvon Diggs could be a star in the back end.
I do want to just point out, too, with all the Tony Pollard buzz that was going on, like, he wasn't facing nearly the amount of stacked boxes that Zeke was. So a lot of that had to do with his success early on in the season. But this game, I know that we don't want to talk so much about the Eagles because they were such a mess. But I do want to just say,
okay.
I thought that it was really weird, the entire game plan, the fact that they didn't run the ball, especially in the first half. Like, yeah, I know you fall behind, you don't run the ball,
with
but
you
they
on
did
that.
not come out and run at all. I
They
mean,
tried to surprise him and didn't.
the Cowboys' third string back, Corey Clement, who used to actually play for the Eagles, had more carries than the Eagles' #1 guy. Like, that should not be.
Where does this coaching staff fall on Miles Sanders? It doesn't seem like they are interested in making him a focal point of the offense, and he's shown in the past that he could be that.
Yeah, in the first 2 games of the season, the Eagles ran the ball well. It's like, you know what, Nick Sirianni and your highlighter and your visor, why don't you focus on some run plays on that play?
How about the
calling?
way he puts his pen in the side of the visor, like vertically?
Rubs me the wrong way.
It's a little strange.
Listen, a tough game script there for their running game, so you got to say that. But also, this is a team that got penalized 13 times for 86 yards, and it was just a bury the ball game.
They don't make sense unless they're a really great running team. And I've been wrong about a lot of things this season. Getting too excited about the Eagles, thinking that they could be kind of Baltimore north. Are they north of Baltimore? Yes,
They are.
Nailed it.
That their offense only makes sense if Jalen Hurts and their running game is the basis of it. And it wasn't that way in week 2 against San Francisco. They really didn't run it that effectively, or he scrambled a lot, but it was just out of structure scrambles, and they didn't even try in this game. And to me, that's like the only way that they're going to make sense and be frisky. But you got to give Quinn, who hasn't been a coordinator for a while, some credit that all we wanted out of this Cowboys defense is just like, hey, can you be average? Because if you're average, then this team is a championship type contender. And they've been frisky. They've been missing players up front, including DeMarcus Lawrence, and yet they're still getting a lot of production. It's not just Parsons. It's the rookie Odigizua is playing pretty well for them. We know Parsons is going to be like a defensive rookie of the year. Diggs is a player. Jaron Kearse has played great at safety. They don't need to be amazing. Suddenly, I think I don't know. This good in offense, they have great potential. They throw in a right tackle for Lyle Collins, and he stuffs the Eagles all night. You didn't hear a word out of Terrence Steele.
I'm going to appeal to your desert loving life, Greg. I'm going to set the over/under now after 3 weeks for the 2-1 Cowboys at 10.5.
I'll go over, but I want to look at the schedule, but I would go over. I did pick them to win the division.
Oh, look at
So
you.
there's something.
I had picked Washington, I believe, but
Same.
that doesn't feel like it's going to happen right now, but it's still very early. Let's see what happens. But for now, the Cowboys rule the East, and it seems definitive. All right, that's Monday Night Football.
Oh, and they might have the best quarterback in the league, too. I mean, that's.
We didn't bring up that.
I'm just saying,
But
that's the
There's
thing.
so many things.
That's the thing that gets me going more than anything, is that he is a veteran quarterback who's been surrounded by these players in the same system. It's pretty rare in the NFL to have a group together like this, and maybe this is the group it all comes together, because he seems like, to me, he is like the Peyton and Eli Manning. I was watching the Manning cast for the first time last night.
Eli threw up the double bird.
That was
in the middle
That's
of
why
the
I said
game.
blur it out. Can
That
we
was
blur out the loss?
Oh, that's
Because Walker hates the Manning cast. So while he's away, we watched the first half together. My son,
right.
he's like, what are these guys talking? This
Right.
is distracting. He doesn't want it. But once he went to bed, the second half, watched the Manning cast. It's amazing, by the way. Mark was totally right. I don't need the guess.
Right.
I just want to hear the Mannings. The analysis is better than any
That's the
any
problem.
football.
There are too many guests, but
Yeah, but
Yeah.
any analyst, they have way better analysis. But what I heard from both of them was their appreciation for a kindred spirit in Dak Prescott. That I know they love all quarterbacks, but I said it a couple weeks ago too when he played Brady. Who is the successor to the Brady Manning type of quarterback? To me, that's Dak Prescott. More than any quarterback in the league, he is in control of everything. He understands everything, and that's him and Kellen Moore. But I just think he has more next level mental things to go, and you are going to have to really throw some things at him. A different call every other play. Like Nick Saban was one of the guests. Not to keep rambling, I'm sorry. And Saban was just like making a joke. He learned when he was the Dolphins coach. He's like, if I showed you the same coverage 2 plays in a row, we learned that we were dead. Like that was something you just can't do in the NFL. And that's what Dak is to me. It's like Tom Brady, Dak, those guys, like if you don't keep mixing it up every other play, he's going to freaking kill you.
I saw everybody ripping Saban because he had terrible lighting. Was he like
He had bad
checking in
lighting.
from a
He
closet?
didn't really understand there's like a game going on, and he sort of treated it like an interview. He had some pretty interesting answers, actually, of like, why doesn't everyone play hurry up all the time, like they do in college? And he's just because like it really hurts the defense, and that's how every college team plays. And I was like, oh, that's a good note. But
This is Nick Saban.
that was Nick Saban, but he also
was an NFL head coach, right?
he was, yeah.
How'd that go?
Those Dolphins teams were
Zing?
underrated. He took a terrible roster and went
All
10-6, which is a little
Okay, Nick Saban was a great NFL coach.
no.
Do we have to litigate everything?
I'm just saying. Do you remember that first Saban season? They won.
Yeah.
They were a winning team with a
I'm
terrible
saying
roster.
it was, a fairly unmemorable run. He's a college guy, but maybe you're right. What was that, 2004 or something? Was that right?
later than that. 6 because it was Drew Brees' first year in New Orleans. 6 and 7.
All right. The Dak thing, I think, has snuck up on a lot of us because before going into, I don't know if it was the year before or last season, you weren't quite sure where he fit in terms of is he an elite guy, is he a step below, and now there's just no question.
Well, because a lot of it was
Yeah.
like, oh, well, he's got Ezekiel Elliott,
Right.
like, and it
That
felt
all
like that he
was
was
garbage.
almost Zeke was like the face of the offense
Right.
at that point.
All right, now let's get into it. I did some research. It's very busy. Tuesdays are very busy for Tugboat. Tugboat Tuesday on NFL
Tugboat
Network.
Tuesday.
Hashtag.
Golden Tate didn't know about Tugboat. I was disappointed. He just called you Dan the Man, right?
Going Dan the Man, then he's like, "Hey Dan," and then I was like, "Hey, what's up, Gold?" He's like, "You're not so." This is on Good Morning Football. "You're not so excited to talk to me, I guess." I was like, "I don't know." I said hello. What am I supposed to do?
It was a weird moment. Made me laugh.
I was supposed to like Golden Tate. Oh my goodness.
Wait, this was on air. I gotta
Yeah.
check this
Yes.
out now. That's
Yeah.
good.
But it's good. He's doing a nice job in the Nate chair. You're in the Mark chair.
Mm-hmm.
Golden's in the Nate chair. Buy sell on Extreme Starts.
You're in the Connie chair. I mean, she's done enough full shows at this point.
I'm a utility player.
We
Whatever
can-
chair
we
you
can-
need to
we can
throw me
reserve
in,
this
I'm
chair.
there.
I mean, we can put
I don't
pressure on
need
you.
to- What do you don't need to be on the white knight horse right now, Greg. Of course, Connie's a part of the show. She's the fabric of the show. But I was just mentioning that's Mark's chair.
Dan, how is Greg making you feel today on the show?
He's hurting me.
But
Emotional.
Talk about that.
I was kind of pivoting this to like we can have a weekly chair here for you on Tuesdays. This doesn't have
that's
to
so
just,
nice.
Oh, I'm
just
sure she
be
would
a-
take us up on that.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like a one-time thing where you're.
Well, Connie
you're
has
with us.
another podcast now.
On Tuesdays. Well, wait, we record on Tuesdays, and it drops on Wednesdays next week. Coming up, Split Ends. It's basically odds and ends, just a whole podcast of it.
Oh, that's
Nice.
a great
Yeah.
sell.
So you
I love
jack
it.
the IP of this program for your own.
Sure did.
That's fine. That happens a lot
I think it's smart.
on NFL media. But hey, Erica, what is this show about? Like, where do you come in? Are you going to be giving us spitting some takes too?
Oh yeah.
Or you just make fun of Colleen during the episode? Like, how do you see it playing out?
Yeah, no, it's both of us. We're talking about fun stories around the league. Like Matt Nagy was in a McDonald's hiring commercial. I mean, he can't. I mean, that's,
Really?
That's
Yeah. See,
hilarious.
this is the stuff that you will learn.
Damn.
Yeah.
All right.
So talking about the fun stuff around the league and you know.
Split ends.
Mhm.
That's
I have
the
some
thing
scoop. There it is, ice cream that we're gonna taste test next week.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right, that's fun.
We
Do you
did
think?
a photo shoot yesterday. That was fun.
Do you think Colleen is in it for the long haul? Or you think she's going to be on the show every week, or it's going to be one of those things where she's on the first episode and then the second episode ends up getting delayed 2 days, but it goes
Yeah.
up,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden weeks 6 and 7, she's out of town or something.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
Where's your
This-
concern level that this is not going to be a regular
No,
like show?
concern level isn't good. We had a good business meeting over coffee yesterday. I think we kind of set our expectations.
I think Tamposi is looking at this as a real opportunity to have her own show coming up in the future.
Yeah. The show must go on whether Connie's there or not. All right, check out Split Ends. When's the first episode going up?
The trailer dropped today, so the feed is live on Spotify, iHeart, Stitcher.
Good.
Yeah,
I'll check that
check it
out.
Subscribe.
Subscribe, everybody. Let's take a break. Let's get to it. I did my research, is what I was trying to say. Even though it's Tugboat Tuesday and I'm very busy, I love that. I checked in. There are 5 3-0 teams. This is research. There are 5 0-3 teams. Okay, and but it's still week 3, Greg, and a lot can change. So maybe we could cherry pick from those teams, and let's start there, Greg. Let's start with the winless and undefeated teams. Then we can get to the teams that have a win or 2 wins also. But why don't you get us going, Mr. Rosenthal?
You want me? I was going to pick a non-winless team, but let's start with the Broncos then.
Okay.
Because
That's kind of what I was kind of leading toward. I knew you'd want to talk about.
Well, I just want to hear where you guys are at with them because, look, they've won 3 games by the score of 76-26.
Right.
That's if you just heard those stats, you would think
That's awesome.
this is the best team in the league.
Right.
Point differential. I don't think anyone sees them that way. But now that they're going to face kind of the meat of their schedule, they get Baltimore this week. I'm curious how you guys kind of think they can move through this season because the injuries really concern me so far. If you name the players that are out for them, it's a lot of their best players.
KJ Hamler blew out his knee this weekend, and that was a bummer because we know we already lost Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton. Even though he popped in week 2, it's still a guy that's coming back from a serious knee injury himself. So you're wondering there. But I will tell you this, Greg. So I have the Broncos at 12 in the power rankings, which is kind of like wait and see.
You're not really buying.
But also I'm in wait and see mode. But also giving them respect for winning 3 in a row. It is just, and this wasn't something I did for effect. It's literally the situation that their season, their wins are against the teams that are 30, 31, and 32 in the power rankings. Like, you can't make this stuff up. Historically, this is one of the softest starts to a schedule you've ever seen. So my issue is not that I don't think they're good, because I think they are. Even though they're beating bad teams, they seem sound on both sides of the ball and well coached. I just don't know how you can't be in a little bit of a hold mode until you see what they do against a real competitor. And I think the Ravens certainly fit the bill. This is a great game to look forward to in week 4.
This was going to be my first team that I was going to sell on the show
How
today.
dare you.
Because you look at the quarterbacks that
Ooh, you're
led
selling.
the teams that they beat. Yeah, I am.
Okay.
I am, because
I'm buying.
You know what?
We know
I
that.
do. I love Teddy Bridgewater, Greg. I want you to know that. I want you to just
It's fine.
take
He's
that
to the
in.
tone.
Okay?
a nice guy.
The defense is very talented as well, but beating the Giants, Jags, and Jets, who are now a combined 0-9, that doesn't really inspire a whole lot of confidence, and
Doesn't light up your Christmas tree, Connie.
it does not. That's not what it does. I just want to see them beat teams that aren't led by Daniel Jones, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson. The Ravens absolutely will be a better test for them this week. I like that they have the +3 turnover margin. That's kind of what you get when you have Steady Teddy in there. But
Steady Teddy, I like
Yeah.
But
that.
Steady Teddy.
his decision making in the past, he's almost been overrated for it. Like, he made a lot of mistakes considering he's not like a big playmaker, and he has been on the money. I do worry though, Hamler and Jeudy. I mean, those are your 2 kind of quickness guys that get open in space. Patrick and Sutton are similar players. They're not going to get that open. They're the guys on the outside, but they have a running game. If Glasgow and Reisner, who are their 2 guards who got hurt in that game, are coming back, Jeudy gets back eventually. Maybe Chubb gives you something. Like, their offense has been really good. I know the matchups have been solid, but like, they looked like the best offense so far against the Jets. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, they looked like they've been very under control, well coached, and they have a really good 1-2 punch in Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon.
I think that Teddy is undeniably an upgrade over what they had last year. And I am leaving the door open to see that he's going to actually be closer to where you saw him and be a legitimate good quarterback. I don't think he's ever going to win a Super Bowl. I don't think this is a Super Bowl team, but I am buying in the sense that I do think with this hot start, with the fact that they look so good, I think they can win 10 games. That's where I kind of pegged them right now. Not a dominant team, but a solid team that might end up eating up one of those wild card spots.
I'm just worried about the health of the team. Like,
That's an issue.
I mean, Chubb being on IR with the ankle injury, and obviously, you have a lot
Darby
of
was another guy I didn't mention, one of their highest paid players.
yeah.
So I'm buying at like a discount. Is that?
I mean, 10 wins is going 7-7 the rest of the way.
It's kind of.
And I know it's a tough division, and you're going to have to play the Browns, for instance, out of Division 2. But I'm more optimistic.
So you're buying, but you don't feel great about the purchase?
Yeah, I feel like buyer's remorse could happen, but I'm not buying it and thinking, oh, I'm going to put this right in the middle of my living room. Now I'm thinking of them as like some type of piece of art or something, like,
Okay.
like a vase. It's like this one, I'm going to actually put this maybe in the guest bedroom on the dresser, the dresser that used to be in my bedroom, and then I got a better dresser, so I moved it to
Guest
the
bedroom
guest bedroom.
gets all of the recycled stuff that you kind of just want to like push out of where it is in your house.
So I bought like a, moderate vase.
All
That's
right.
the Broncos to me. All right. What about you, Connie?
Okay, so I am selling the last team that I saw on Thursday Night Football. I'm going to sell the Panthers, who are
Whoa.
3-0.
So right off the bat, the 2 3-0 teams that everyone's freaking out about, Connie's selling on them both.
And it's like a light sell on
I'm a
the
loser.
Panthers. But I just think that Sam Darnold, yes, he played well. He's played well this season. I liked last week he had the 2 rushing touchdowns. I'm just really worried about Christian McCaffrey and this offense if he loses significant time, because when he went down in that game with the hamstring injury in the second quarter, you could see that Darnold was a little rattled, and then he shook it off and was okay. And everyone's thinking, okay, it's just a hamstring. They didn't put him on IR. But honestly, based on what I saw after the game when I was leaving the stadium and I saw Christian McCaffrey,
Ooh.
and he was on the cart. He was sitting in the front seat with the driver. He had crutches. He had his hood over his head, and the look on his face, it looked like he was sick. And that made me feel sick for him. So it just, to me, in that moment, looking at him, and that's not any inside information or anything else. It's just a gut feeling by looking at his facial expression. It just doesn't seem like it's something he's going to be bouncing right back from. And I think that will really hurt the offense.
I think you're absolutely right. I think this Sam Darnold experiment in Carolina really hinged in a lot of ways on having CMC be the linchpin, and the fact that he's not on IR tells you they think they could get him back within 3 weeks. However, you actually saw Christian on the cart. I wasn't even part of the conversation, but I overheard a conversation with a prominent retired NFL player at some point in the last 24 hours, and
I'm trying to guess so hard right now.
he was saying like
Golden Tate.
that's major. That's a problem. That's a problem because even if McCaffrey comes back, that's something that sticks with an athlete if you really pop a hamstring badly. And to expect him not only to come back, but to come back and be the workhorse again, his body is probably not going to allow that. And I would imagine a lot of McCaffrey's what made him so upset that night is he missed all of last year with the
Right.
injury. And now he has another injury. He's just making a stutter step. So I'm selling with you, and I'm curious where you stand, Greg, on Darnold, because we haven't had a chance to talk about him yet, and I know you've been famously kind of out on him the last couple of years. Sometimes I feel like I can't even provide any real analysis with Darnold because it's a little too hot for a Jets fan to try to figure out where things are at right now. I see him, and I'm watching him. It's like he's definitely better than he was in his last year or two in New York. But I also see a guy that maybe 5 weeks from now we're going to have a different view of what his season is with the Panthers.
Yeah, he hasn't had to do much beyond hit his first read, and he's done that well. Like, he puts it in there. He's been pretty accurate. There was a couple second reaction plays where he had to do something on his own. Generally, if you pressure Darnold at all, he struggles. And their whole offense so far has been McCaffrey or DJ Moore on these option routes, and they're going to have to expand that. That said, I think that's great coaching. Like, they've almost put a clinic on, like, week 1, we're going to do this. Then we're going to build it up a little more. Then we're going to build it up a little more. And you look at their schedule, you got the Cowboys this week. That's a tough game and a better defense, but not a defense that scares you. And you got a lot of winnable games until a totally brutal stretch run. Their last 4 games is at Bills, the Bucks twice, and at the Saints, which is just crazy. But I see a lot of doable games. To me, I think the offense is going to be good enough. It's whether the defense can be this like otherworldly, and whether that's just about the fact that they've played Zach Wilson, Jameis Winston, and Davis Mills. Yes, that's probably a big factor. Like, if their defense can stay in the top 7 defenses, let's say, all year, then they are for real. I'm just holding because I think I think they're going to be a story all season. I think they're going to be in the playoff mix, and they might get to the playoffs.
Playing the Cowboys, though, with that defense, and that's your biggest question to see whether or not that they're sustainable. I mean, losing J.C. Horn is a huge, huge blow for that defense. I mean, he'll possibly return later this year, but he's going to have surgery. They just traded for C.J. Henderson to try and help, but that's
tough in the middle of a season. C.J. Henderson has already struggled to adapt to the pro game after being the 9th overall pick. Also kind of interesting that, and it's one of those things where summer football talk, the football guy just laugh at you. All that Sam Darnold, Dan Arnold talk, and now that's not even a thing anymore because he's not even on the team. But obviously,
that was a great trade
Matt
for
Rule,
the Panthers.
Yeah,
getting
Matt
a top
Rule
10
sees
pick.
something there. I mean, that's not a top 10 pick 4 years ago. That was last spring. The 9th pick in the entire draft was C.J. Henderson, a cornerback that has elite skills. So maybe a change of environment, that could be a steal. And then if J.C. Horn gets back, whether it's this year or next year, you might have a serious nucleus in that back end. Now, I'm going to buy on a team because we can't just sell on everything. What kind of show is this? We were doing our Around the NFL TV show, the broadcast with Weish and Claybon on Friday, and they'll be joining us again this week. And about, I don't know, Greg, it was about an hour and 40 minutes into the show, and we're like, have we just been relentlessly negative on the show? So I'm going to do something positive, and maybe we'll be more positive on the television program Friday as well. I'm buying on these Raiders. I'm in. I'm buying on the start. It seems sustainable to me. It's been dramatic, of course. Dramatic wins over the Ravens, a dramatic win over the Dolphins. That was a fun, weird game, by the way. The Dolphins score 14. The Raiders score the next 25. Then the Dolphins score the final 11. Then they trade field goals, and then the Raiders win on that amazing.
It's one of the best games of the season.
Great game, and happy that Handsome Hank was there with his son, and his son got to slap Dan Marino's hand coming out of the tunnel.
Aww.
Just a great thing. But anyway, the Raiders are a vibe in that stadium, and now I look at their schedule. So they're 3-0. They're across the sidewalk here on Sunday. They got the Chargers. That's a tough
Monday night. That's a
Monday night. That is a great game, and imagine they win that game. If they ever got past the Chargers this week, and it's not crazy that they could beat the Chargers, they then get the Bears at home, at Denver, another toughie, home Eagles, at Giants. So I think there's a very real chance at the midpoint, well, what was the traditional midpoint, but now just about the midpoint of the season, they're going to be 6-2 or 7-1 even, and that's gonna play. That's going to play to the point where in a loaded AFC West, you might actually have a chance to win that division. I'm not getting ahead of myself there because I know what the Raiders have done in past years under John Gruden, but this year feels different. Yay or nay, Greg? I'm buying.
Yeah, I'm buying because I think the defense, similar to Dallas, is going to be okay enough. And it's been better than that so far. They've won, 2 kind of crazy close games, so there's some variance there. Derek Carr can't play any better, but I don't think that should be used as a negative. He's just playing the best that he's ever played. Like, he is one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the league thus far.
Quasi-badass.
No question about it. He's someone who's been in the system a long time. He's got enough weapons. This whole division, I'm buying the whole division. I said that last week. I was kind of trying to say, I think all these teams are good. That's possible.
You're buying the whole division.
I just bought it up.
You're buying the AFC West.
The Raiders
West
were
Coast bias.
Oh yeah, that's true.
We are the best.
We try to avoid those things.
We are the best time zone. I mean, our sports schedule's way better.
It's pretty good.
The weather's better. Yes, West Coast biased.
Mm-hmm.
You're wasting your time back east.
I love the NFL schedule on the
each
West
their own,
Coast.
Greg.
It's great. The Raiders were the team that I had the most questions about for this exercise. I couldn't tell if I was buying or selling or what I should do here, and I just have so many questions about them because I wonder if they can consistently outscore better offenses in the league. Their defense, I think, has a couple questions with the linebackers and in the secondary. Lamar definitely helped them out week 1 with the fumbles, and Jacoby Brissett and the Dolphins just took them to overtime. So I don't know what you guys are thinking about the Dolphins, but does that maybe give you a little bit of pause, maybe temper any of your expectations after seeing that game?
It actually, what it did was remind me how smart the Dolphins are for having capable backup quarterbacks, because I thought Jake Brisket played really well there in that game. Yeah, I don't think the Raiders are obviously dominant by any stretch on defense, but they have an identity with that pass rush now. And if they could just, make enough plays, Carr with this offense, they have a chance to do that thing that we talk about so many teams now in the modern NFL. Just play okay defense and then score like hell when you have the ball, and that's what they've been able to do so far. 33, 26, and 31 points in the first 3 weeks.
Their offensive line has been a little up and down. They're a totally different team than they were the last few years. They're not a great running team. The offensive line is up and down, but I do think they're getting enough contributors in the defense where I'm like, okay, I see you, Gus Bradley.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like the race to the middle. I almost feel like, not that defense doesn't matter, and this was like a hot take on PFF at one point where they were saying it in an outlandish way. Defense doesn't matter, but there is something to the fact that defense doesn't matter as much as offense, and defense is like number 8 through 24 in the NFL. I don't know if there's that big of a difference.
Right.
It's just sort of like, can you make a couple plays in a given week?
All right. Before we go around one more time, let's take a break.
Ooh, professional.
All right, we're back. Before we get to any other ones you want to throw out there, I just want to hit these 0-3 teams real quick. Jags, Jets, Giants, Colts, Lions. On Good Morning Football, they put up a graphic which is just, and it tells you the state of Big Apple. This Western New York has nothing to do with this. Northern New Jersey football. The Jets and Giants are tied for the worst record in football since 2017. I believe the number was 17-49.
It's something like that because I saw Garofalo tweet that out.
I mean, think about that. But of these teams, Jags, Jets, Giants, Colts, Lions, obviously we're selling, I would think, on all these teams, Connie. But can you make a case for one of them digging themselves out of the grave? Clawing out, dirt under the fingernails. They're alive.
Well, I honestly thought that before Sunday that the Giants would be able to win because
such a bad loss to the Falcons killed them.
So
Just
bad,
killed them.
and that came after the Thursday night game against Washington that they should have won, and they basically had won that game 17 different ways until they just crushed themselves with penalties, 11 penalties, and obviously that one at the end that was the killer.
Well, what about the Falcons? Adoree Jackson, I think we brought it up, but on Sunday night. But that again, you got a closeout game. So yeah, you can make a case. Maybe the Giants should be actually 2-1. But the problem, Connie, is then you look at their schedule coming up. They're not 2-1. They are 0-3. They have no wiggle room, and now they got to go to the Superdome, which is going to be on fire. It was literally on fire a couple weeks ago. Now it's going to be on fire emotionally with a Saints team that's going to want to put on a show back in NOLA. Does anybody call it NOLA down there? Greg?
Yeah, people say no.
NOLA.
Yeah.
Nolans. That's going to be a great vibe for the Saints and their fans. The Giants are in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, the schedule after that game, they're not. They're
cooked.
winning. They're not.
What about the
winning.
Colts? Can we?
These guys, and I think they've been the best of all these teams. Like they're 18th in DVOA. The Giants are. It doesn't surprise me because to me they kind of look mediocre. But the Colts would be the one team.
Can you buy in on the Colts getting back to 500 and making this a season again?
I can. Yes, because of the organization, because they have moved the ball pretty well this year, and more than anything, just like hoping that the Titans don't run away and hide. There are some soft spots in this schedule. You've got the Texans. When you got the Jets, the Jags, you got Texans twice, Jags twice. Like you could stack up some wins, but you have to start doing it soon. They've moved the ball fairly well, but like Carson Wentz on injured ankles is just not like an exciting.
It's so bad.
proposition.
And I can't even imagine what his mental state is after last season with the Eagles
It's
just
like this.
getting crushed.
Ouch.
And
Every
now
time
playing
it's
on two
ouch.
broken
It's just like,
ankles.
wow, I
Ouch.
didn't realize Phillip Rivers' shoes were so big to fill, but I guess they were. I tried to tell you.
Yes, we all. Is Phil coming back? Is that still going to happen? There was that little
I forgot about
random
that.
report at the end of August.
They need to be competitive because they also give up a bet. You got to root for Carson Wentz to stay healthy as an Eagles fan
Oh, I know.
because you get a better draft
No
pick.
chance.
I really think there will be a controversy at some point. Yeah, that if they're like 2-7,
Oh, they
they're like,
sit
oh
him.
yeah, we got to sit Wentz down and get him 100% healthy for a few
That could
weeks.
absolutely. That's a first round pick on the line, and that's a good call, Greg. They will absolutely.
That's like a karma
do
thing
that.
for Philly pulling its starters against the Giants or against Washington for the Giants to lose the division.
Especially, and it's so telling because you just saw C.J. Henderson get traded as a number 9 overall pick. I know Urban Meyer, before Urban Meyer was hired, there was no such thing as the Jaguars to Urban Meyer, so there's no sense to try to work with a guy that talented. But in general, once you start to get the calendar turns over to December and then, of course, through the early stage of the offseason. It's crazy how draft obsessed these organizations are and how draft pick obsessed they are. And when the Colts, if they internally turn the page to 2022, they're going to freak out about that pick. And they're going to say, there's no way we're giving that thing up to ride out the string with Carson
Right.
Wentz.
He has to miss
That's a
about
storyline.
4 or 5 games, which might happen naturally.
Right.
They might not have to do anything.
Ooh, messy divorce because he's going to want to play. Oh, okay. Okay, my comeback player of the year prediction, not looking hot.
Oh, no.
All right, Greg, do you want to throw out either a 2-1 team or a 1-2 team that has been extreme to you in
Yeah,
their
well,
own
the
way?
most extreme team in the league to me is the Saints in terms of just being up and down. I'm buying them at 2-1. Marshawn Lattimore, I think, could have an all-pro cornerback season. Him missing week 2 was a big part of them struggling so much in Carolina. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, too, missed that game. When they were back on the field and Dennis Allen has that front kind of cooking, they still have the bones of a really well-coached, I think, difference-making defense. There's only some defenses that matter around the NFL. I think they're one of them. And I think as the season goes along, they will figure out something with this offense. Assuming Teron Armstead comes back at left tackle, which they should get him back at some point, the offensive line is really good. And I just think if you look at the Saints' history, they often close much stronger. That by the time we get to mid-November, that they can figure some things out offensively. They can stay alive in the meantime. And they have been through a lot this year. And I think they should come out of that stronger than ever. And they're going to be in New Orleans this week. I know the team was just so excited to get back home.
I'm sure.
I know mulligans don't count in our league, but if you want to give them the mulligan for week 2 and they had COVID issues and injury issues and they're like 5 weeks into their road
They've
trip.
got like the cafeteria worker coaching up the defensive line. 'Cause
Exactly.
They don't have
Like,
anyone else around.
If there was any time to give a mulligan, even if you can't do it in the standings, it's that. So if you take out week 2, awesome week 1 against the Pack, really strong week 3 against the Pats in New England. And I know that Pats aren't the same anymore, but still, that was a really good effort. Yeah, I'm buying 2. I think.
And they might not be
they're
that
gonna be okay.
watchable or fun. I mean, their passing game is a tough business.
I'm buying Sean Payton. I'm buying his
Right.
defense. I'm
Buying
buying
the
Alvin
defense for
Kamara,
sure.
but I'm still not buying Jameis.
No,
And unless
he's,
you could build
he's
a
sinking
quarterback,
like a rock in the QB index.
I
It's
was
a
going to
tough
say, unless you
situation.
can in 2021 build a quarterback-proof team, that's probably going to bang him in the end. Which is why I have the Vikings as the 1-2 extreme team that I'm into, because I just think, again, no, you don't get anything for coming close, but they could easily be 3-0 right now with a little bit of luck and execution. And they were, Connie, they were brilliant on offense against the Seahawks, shredding them in every direction without Dalvin Cook. And Mike Zimmer said after the game it was the best offensive game he's ever been a part of as a Vikings coach. I liked the Vikings going into the season. I picked them to make the playoffs over the Saints, and I think they are a better team. And I just want to give a shout out to the Vikings fans. I think we kind of sleep on the U.S. Bank Stadium as in the conversation of best home field advantage.
Oh, I love that stadium.
And I'm sure you've been in there on Thursday nights when the place is on fire. And I'm not just talking about the horn, although the horn was just going on constantly throughout that game.
28 first downs. It's
Just
a lot of horns.
rolling up. It was a horn fest. I almost said something else, but it is a team that I think is going to build off that week 3 performance, and they will be in position like 8-5 as they enter December. I feel that about the Vikings. I'm buying.
I was really impressed with Alexander Madison too.
Yeah.
I mean, coming
Excellent.
in 26 for 112. I mean, it felt like he kept ripping off these runs that were pretty long, just breaking off there. I just think that team is a little spicy, and especially
Cousins is out of his mind.
Right, I know, and that's the thing, because I keep being like, no, don't buy into Kirk Cousins, but then I
Yeah.
watch and I'm like, I don't know, Kirk Cousins is like not that bad right now, and I loved the quote that he had this week. I think it was this week when he was saying that Kyle Shanahan told him that his swag is having no swag, and I was like, oh my God, that's the most accurate thing
Do you think
I've ever seen.
that's great? Is Cousins in that cube that he talked about in the summer? The plexiglass, I won't get the shot, I won't get the jab cube to stay
Oh.
healthy? Because he obviously is vulnerable because he's not vaccinated, but so far, so good. This is what Adam Thielen said. It's been a different Kirk. He's just locked in and on time. He's trusting it. So that's sometimes a narrative he's different now. He's just playing really well, but
He's throwing up some
he's got some guys to
passes
throw
that I
to.
don't think he would in the past. Like that completion to KJ Osborne last week on the late third down. That's a ball that I feel like Cousins eats to
when
be
he got
a little
clobbered?
safer, but instead he
Yeah.
did a little Kyler Murray imitation, backpedaling and throwing
Yep.
it. And he's made some plays on the run. You do have a Thursday night game. Are you going all season to every
All
stadium?
season,
Okay.
except for the London games.
They're going to be
so-
hosting
Why not?
the Steelers week 14. Is Kirk Cousins would he be a good guy on the podium? Well, you got to
We've
be
had
worried.
him on the podium before.
You might, and it was awkward. I remember.
Yeah,
that.
'cause it
No,
was
was
with
not your
Stephon
fault,
Diggs,
but
right?
Yeah, they were
Oh my
having issues.
God,
At
I
85.
forgot about that.
But that's against the Steelers. You want to be careful with Kirk, but maybe he'll bring the
Make him
cube
go in the cube
on.
and
Oh.
lower him from the ceiling.
Make jokes about that. I'm sure it'll go great.
I think for some of the weeks, every team is different. So sometimes we'll have a player up with us on like the dais. Other
Right.
times we'll have a player just like throwing headphones on from across the field. So
If you-
maybe that's a Kirk
Sometimes you'll have
situation.
Sam Darnold, and he'll just be like, "This crowd is great."
Oh my God! I was like,
it
please.
was even worse.
just
It
give
was
me a
like
little bit more.
that was my favorite part. And we're gonna get to Thursday Night Football, but since you brought it up, Darnold, you guys, you have him on the dais. It's an exciting time. The Panthers are 3-0. It's a home game. You got what 200.
It wasn't a home game. It was just those Panthers.
There was a ton
fans-
of Panthers.
You had
fans
like
there.
what
Impressive.
200, 300 fans like right by the set,
Mhm.
and you guys tee him up. You say, you said, Sam, look at this. They're all here for you and celebrating with you. And then the camera's on Sam, and he goes, "It's awesome."
Well, I
and
was
then there's a 3-second pause from you, Steve, and the gang, and you guys are waiting for Sam to give you something else. And it just never came. And then I don't know who it was, but there was like a chuckle, and then it was like, okay, well,
I wasn't
you're just
even
not going to get it.
I wasn't even going to ask him about that, but I couldn't ignore it because as soon as we started, the
Awesome.
Panthers fans were just going wild for Sam Darnold. And I was like, this is a weird kind of thing to get used to. And there were so many of them in Houston. So I had to ask him. And I thought
Right.
for sure that this is his opportunity to be like,
Chance.
here, let's talk
Soak
about
it
the
in.
fans. Let's say how
Positive.
great they are, that they came out tonight, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I think
No one had a worse start to their career in terms of just getting beat up physically, mentally, emotionally, being taken advantage of by a bad coaching staff. Sam Darnold, it was a nightmare. This was his moment to shine on prime time. And when he finally threw it to him and he had his chance to get it all out there, awesome.
he just seems like he's a guy that's really tightly wound.
Yeah.
And I think that he went through a lot of trauma in
Yeah,
with the
it's like in
Jets.
the America, what was the South Park guys movie, America Number One Force or whatever it was. And they have the Matt Damon guy, and he's just like, I'm Matt Damon. That's Darnold.
Maybe by the end of the year, if they keep winning, he'll loosen up as a.
It's really awesome. Maybe.
I think he's just afraid to say the wrong thing.
He's coached up well. He's a good guy. I said that after he got traded. Like, he deserves this because he went through hell. We're off track. Do you have one before we move on? Do you have another one? Anything
We
extreme?
already covered all of the ones
Okay,
that
good.
I had prepared.
Good talk. I don't, if that comes off
Broncos,
being mean,
Panthers,
No,
Raiders.
we did it. We did it.
if that comes off being mean to Sam Darnold, first of all, calm down, relax. We're just having fun here. Or me being bitter about Sam, I'm not. There's Mark. It's just kind of funny to me because New York tried to get stuff out of Sam for years too. Colleen now has tried. One day, get
Yep,
something out of Sam.
It's going to
Darnold, yeah.
happen.
And the reason Panthers fans are so excited is because they don't have to watch Teddy Bridgewater anymore.
Wow. I mean, they're both undefeated.
That's
We'll
true.
see. We'll see who finishes.
Also, both former Jets. I mean, as if it's just like a stew of pain and agony for the Jets. Everybody that's ever been a quarterback. Bryce Petty's somewhere 3-0 right now, I'm sure. All right, before we go, Thursday Night Football. I keep on forgetting. I want to get the Priyanka song to get us ready. I know you love it in my city.
Oh, that's good.
I married a Jonas guy.
That's exactly how it goes.
It's become my identity. Is this it? You have it? I married a Jonas. My name is Jonas. Best Weezer song, Greg.
I don't know. The
But Jonas
first song
Brothers.
on the first album.
Eh,
I
My
forget.
name is Jonas.
Yeah. No, that's not it though.
It is.
I know you got
Yeah, this is.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic.
And this is where like they would like show her superimposed in front of like
Like the Carrie
Cincinnati, in
Underwood?
front of Skyline Chili. You know, it'd be like suddenly Priyanka's wearing a Bengals jersey in front of Skyline Chili. It was great.
It was, I mean, the top of the line special effects graphics package in 2012. The best like digital city you could have behind an Indian pop star. It was wonderful, but it didn't take off the way we wanted it to. We liked that song though.
I liked it. Yeah, it was a whole thing on our podcast back in 2012. We had a podcast in, 2013.
That's
We
before I
are
started
old.
working here.
We're
and
old.
We had a
so I don't
producer
remember that.
then who at one later stole our Stitcher award, but at this point it was like, hey, I think we got Priyanka on the books. She's gonna come in and do the show. And she's like, oh, she's like one of the biggest stars in the world. That sounds pretty good. It didn't materialize.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. there.
We had Priyanka on the hook. We were told.
You don't still think about it though, right?
Never think about it. All right, let's get to it. Thursday night football, and on the surface, listen, Connie, you can't say it. I can. Feels like another dud for the fans. Oh, who wants to watch the Cincinnati Bengals and the Jacksonville Jaguars in prime time? But here's the thing. I'll sell it this way. And I don't have to sell it too hard. Yeah, the Jaguars are a mess and they're winless. But you got a chance to see Trevor Lawrence in his first primetime game. And Trevor's been obviously up and down, but come on. He's Trevor Lawrence. This is going to be fun to watch him develop. And the other side, it's in Cincinnati. They're 2-1. And there's some genuine good vibes around this team. When you look at their schedule, they have a chance here to get on a little bit of a run. And it starts with whipping up on a winless Jags team. It could be a celebration, Cincinnati. And I love the idea, Connie, of Burrow, obviously, slam dunk, get him up on the dais if they win. And maybe Jamar Chase's buddy at LSU. And you could tell that you'd get more than it's awesome if you get those two guys together.
There's no question.
You might be get a cigar up there.
Connie's
Ah,
beaming right now, just thinking about it.
I know. Well, now that you say it that way, I'm very excited.
the
Because at
cigars.
first I was like, it's a Jungle Cat game. Okay, cool. We got the
Jungle Cat.
Jags and the Bengals.
Classic.
But I'm excited to see Joe Burrow. I think that he's played really well. Also, last week he had the luxury of not having to face T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith, so he was able to connect with Jamar Chase a bunch, and those two have looked really good. Their connection, it's really carried over from college. Jamar Chase, 4 touchdowns and 220 yards on just 11 catches so far this season. So I saw from NFL research that Chase has become the youngest player in NFL history with 4+ receiving touchdowns in his team's first 3 games, passing Randy Moss. So he's been outstanding, and I really love the trio of wide receivers that they have there. I know T. Higgins didn't play on Sunday because of the shoulder injury, and I'm not sure what the short week means for him. Could be a little dicey if he goes or not. But Tyler Boyd, he's sassy, and I like it. He's talking some trash. I like what he had to say about the Steelers just giving up at the end of the game. So
Love that. I think I know what he was talking, or at least I thought, was he talking about Tomlin kicking a field goal with 8 minutes left? Because that felt like giving up to me.
Yeah.
After the, I think it was because it was a 15-play, like 9-minute drive, and they were like, we can't not score here. This is embarrassing. We have to just kick the field goal to save our face.
Yeah.
Save my face.
So, and going up against this Jaguars defense, I think that all of the opposing quarterbacks have diced them up so far. So Joe Burrow, I don't think will be any different. I am also really excited about the Bengals defense too, who look really improved from last year.
Right, that's been their story. Looking at DVOA, I'm guessing they've got to be in the top 5 defensively. They are 4th on defense right now, 25th on offense. So the first couple games, the offense was starting to come together. But this is why I just remind me next preseason again. And it's just like none of this stuff matters. It's like even early in the season, I was overreacting a little bit to Burrow. But the first play of last week's game against Pittsburgh, he escaped from the pocket in a really great way.
Like legitimately upset about this thing.
What?
Talking about the preseason letting you down.
Well, and just that we talk about these topics, and Jamar Chase can't catch it, and Burrow's not
Right.
confident. And I didn't think Burrow looked confident in his knee the first couple of weeks, but okay, that makes sense. And then last week, you could see it on the very first play. He escapes multiple pass rushers. He starts doing kind of the running around Joe Burrow thing, and you could see after that play, he was so confident. He cut on that knee multiple times, and he looked like Joe Burrow, and he started hitting players outside the numbers. And on that touchdown to Chase, look, he hasn't completed many deep throws this year, even with that one. But you saw that last, 5 yards of the route where
Sure.
Chase just goes, whoom, and
Yeah.
it was just like, okay, that doesn't show up on the 40 time with Jamar Chase, but you could see it right there. And those two guys had incredible games. That was one of the best games of Joe Burrow's career,
Still-
including the rookie year.
Listen, you still probably should have taken the tackle, but if this is gonna be what it is, and they really have something here, they didn't blow it, and that's something to celebrate. And just don't mess this up, Bengals. You're gonna have 75,000 West Cincinnatians and Midwesterners there. Do not blow this. And you know who else is gonna be there?
Mm-hmm.
Courtesy of, definitely not huge, the Tiny Box. She hooks up Wessling Brothers. The place is going to be filthy. It's going to be lousy
many?
with Wessling Brothers on Thursday night in Cincinnati.
We got 3 officially coming in.
Wow.
And one of them is Tim Wessling, and it's his turn to share the Wessling Brothers lock of the week. And I think you know where this is going.
Hey, Around the NFL podcast. This is Tim Wessling. This is Chris Wessling's brother. You know him best as Wes.
Got it?
Thanks,
It's
Tim.
my turn to pick this week. So I'm going to the Thursday night game in Cincinnati. It's going to be Jacksonville versus Cincinnati. Sure, I'm a little biased, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing Trevor Lawrence play, but much more, I'm interested in seeing Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase dominate, which they will do again this week.
Boom.
In that case, I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals. And I'm locking it up.
I mean, was that the greatest thing ever? Tim West. They all have their own. Nick sounds a lot like Chris, which will freak you out if it catches you the wrong day. But Tim doesn't sound like anybody else in the world, and Phil as well. So
Phil sounds has like a little bit of Wes. I can hear when he
It's
talks.
just- I feel like we're on a Wrestling World Tour this season, and I'm loving it. And I like
am
that. I
loving
like
it.
the lock.
I'm loving it so much. I won't point out this is actually 7.5 points in the desert. It is over our
Let's give
look in
him-
the mirror thing, but it's a Cincinnati home game.
You're
it's
doing
the
rules on
Wesleyan.
this
We're
on the
fine.
on the
We're
West
fine.
Coast?
He's very weird
fine.
with this game in general. But you have to let's give him a little accident forgiveness because they did lock up against the defending champion Bucks, who hadn't lost
Absolutely.
9
give it to
months.
him.
We'll give it.
I mean,
to
when
him.
you can lock up the worst team in football by far on the road on a 3-day week,
Stop.
you try to do it.
They're
You
all
know,
listening right now, so just know in the future, check out what the desert's saying and try to keep it underneath 7 points.
Guess who else is going to be at the game with
Ooh.
the Wesses? Lakeisha.
Oh, that's
So we're having a
right.
party in Cincinnati.
You get
It's
loose.
amazing.
Well, after work.
How loose we getting? We getting wild? When do you get on a plane to come back? west?
Well, I have to fly to Philly first, and I'm doing the Saturday show from NFL Films.
But you have a chance to go out after the game and have a little fun.
A little bit, yeah. It's usually a late, like
That's
we don't
fun,
get done
that's
until
great.
like midnight or so. But yeah, it'll be fun.
I want to see Trevor Lawrence play better. I'm a little worried because this Bengals defense, as you mentioned, is playing really well. I don't know if Awuzie, who's played really good at cornerback, is going to be in for them. Suddenly, they're on their third and fourth corners. Eli Apple played 80 snaps, so in theory, maybe you could attack them. Trey Hendrickson's been great for Cincinnati up front, but Trevor Lawrence, it's looked rough.
It's been tough.
And everyone understandably saying, it's going to be fine. He had the touchdown throw to Chark last week. That was an amazing throw. He has one or two of those every week. But
DJ Reader also has been really good. I don't think he gets enough love either.
Lawrence, it is worth pointing out, I wouldn't expect this to suddenly get great this season. This 3-game stretch is worse than any 3-game stretch of some pretty good rookie quarterback season. So I think he'll get there eventually, but it doesn't seem like the scheme is helping him out much, and he's just really
I'm gonna
late
push
with
back
everything.
on that a little bit. I think the fact that you're pointing out correctly that he's had a few wow throws every week means it's better than a different situation where he's not giving you anything, like I've seen from the number 2 pick, Zach Wilson, the last couple of weeks.
I think Wilson's played better than Trevor Lawrence overall.
All right.
Really?
Well, Okay,
barely.
I see
but
what you're
if
saying.
I had to pick,
I think also Trevor, he might be dealing. His expectations are a little inflated, but that's part of the deal when you're the number one pick and people say you're the best prospect since Andrew Luck. So I don't know. It's almost like I'm in a wait and see mode by Trevor Lawrence, and I would love to see him play well in this game because that's some juice. You could have Trevor Lawrence on the dais too.
That's true.
That would be interesting as well. I think this is a good setup. Did you get, and we check in every week on this, any ATN Easter eggs into the telecast
Of
last
course
week?
I did. If you guys are going to give me a
Scorecard.
challenge like that, I'm going to deliver. I got Snow Patrol in.
You got snow
I
patrol.
got Let It Snow.
Did
I
you get
had-
12 inches of snow in there?
I didn't. No.
All right,
That
okay.
was maybe
Snow
a bridge
Patrol.
too far.
I don't know if it's taking off. But
oh my
it's,
gosh, I
it's
asked Sam
leaving the
Darnold about it.
station.
Wait, I totally forgot to tell you
Oh,
guys.
oh.
So after the interview ended and we went to break,
Yeah.
Sam Darnold was getting off the stage, and I was like, "Oh, hey, wait, real quick, just a quick question." Is anyone in the locker room referring to the defense at all as like either Snow Patrol or, like saying let it snow? And he's looking at me like I am insane, which I am at this point. And he was like, no.
This
no, I
random
haven't-
Irish rock band from the mid-aughts.
He's like,
haven't heard. I love Snow Patrol.
he was
I do
like,
too.
no, that started 2 days ago on that podcast you were on with no other context. It hasn't reached the locker room yet, but we're trying to make it
It's
happen.
everyone has tried to make it a thing wherever Phil Snow has been. So I didn't realize this
Oh,
at
okay.
Temple they were doing it, at Baylor they were doing it, and like
Okay,
the
that's good.
local radio station there in town has been trying to do it. So
For
I
some
don't
reason,
know.
and Darnold's only like 24, and Snow Patrol hasn't had a hit for a while. But I guess I'm really curious. Has Sam Darnold ever heard "Chasing Cars"? Has he ever
it's
heard a
such a
Snow
great
Patrol song?
song.
They got some bangers. All right.
I love them.
By the way,
Well,
Greg.
what do we do this week though? Is
Oh.
there a challenge for this week?
Okay, what do we got? We got the
So Jags and Bengals. Or if you want to tweet it later, we can get it on the
I'm gonna
record that way.
ruminate. What about you, Greg? Got anything? We're going to give you something to try to.
Okay.
And also, listeners, will make this a challenge. Why don't we call it the TNF, the ATN TNF challenge? That's a little bulky for a hashtag.
Nothing
Ricky,
too
you're
Put it on a
crazy
t-shirt.
though,
Put it
because
on a
then it's
t-shirt.
gonna
Yeah.
be it's gonna be tough to get in. I got Flying Camel Spin in last week for Steve Weich and Stacey Dales, and
Okay.
that might have been.
So you're just doing this for everybody. Now we don't feel so special.
No. That was just a 1 week thing with them. I will always be true to. This
Okay.
is my jam.
Let me think on it.
'Kay.
And we'll see what we can do. And Ricky, if we can get things into the show, please pull it for Connie's next appearance on Tuesday. And Connie, thank you for stepping in.
Of
and chatting.
course.
You're a queen. Greg, the top five. I was a little distracted at one point at the end of our last segment because I was coming up with the top 5 Weezer songs. Number 1, The Good Life off Pinkerton. Number 2, Island in the Sun
That's my fave.
off the Green Album. Number 3, El Scorcho, also off Pinkerton. Number 2, My Name is Jonas. That is track 1 on the Blue Album. And the greatest Weezer song is Say It Ain't So, Don't Overthink It. Don't overthink it. It's a functionally perfect song.
I'm sort of partial to Undone the Sweater song just
Great.
because I remember
Maybe number 6.
like when the video came out, it was
forgot about
like the
that song.
album still hadn't come out, and it just blew my mind. I was like, "What is this thing? What is this?" And me and my friend Phil went and bought the album like 3 weeks later. the
And that
first
wasn't
day.
even
And
the
that was-
Happy Days video.
That was like before. Yeah, that was before videos were coming out. Singles were coming out before albums.
That was an
they were ahead of the game.
incredible song that I completely just erased from my memory. Scene was deleted there, but I'm with you. I like the
We're
song.
old.
How does
This
scenes
is
get
such an
deleted
old-
from your
an
memory?
old white
How's that
combo.
happen?
It's just I have no control over it. They're just gone. So here one day, gone the next.
All right. Good stuff. Should we give any update on our London journey? That we have a sold-out show, as people know, and everybody's upset because we keep on putting these shows on sale in the middle of the night in England, and then they're sold out in minutes, which is awesome, but, we get it. We're efforting for a second show. We're not sure if we're going to have it, but we're working on it, and if we do, we will promise you. Again, another Team America callback. I promise I will never die. We promise you that we'll give you a heads up when tickets go on sale.
Right.
If we
we'll,
have
we'll
another
put
show.
it at a specific time. It won't be in the middle of the night, and then it'll be fair for all. But even that will be, it'll be
Fair
fun.
for all, and then a free for all.
I'm so bummed I can't come with you guys.
We're gonna have so many mojo moments.
I know. Let me know about them. Just
Okay.
text me every 5 seconds. Great.
All right, good. And the Split Ends podcast is coming. How about
That's
that,
right.
Ricky? Another plug for you. because you are
Thank you. Appreciate it.
just a wonderful woman.
Thank you. What do you want?
I just want you to be my producer until I die. I want to be 90 years old and be really bad at talking football,
You got it.
and you're stuck to a promise that you gave me in 2021 that you would never leave me.
Yeah,
That's
this
what I
got
want.
really dark. Why?
Oh, I mean, I'm not going anywhere. Dan, the better my podcast does, it doesn't mean I'm leaving.
Oh no, it does mean that. Look at
No.
you. You're already trying to get out. If Split
How?
Ends has any success, there will be there's going to be a conversation with a shadowy league figure. It's like, I just don't have time to be doing the producing thing anymore because I'm such a hit.
I mean, this is like a 3-year-old story that her wanting to get out. So yeah.
That's not true. You're spinning false narratives, Greg.
All right.
Mm.
And Ricky's going to be with us in London too. Love it. All right. Let's go.
Okay.
Next time you hear from us, Thursday, the preview show. Thursday night, the TNF recap with me and someone to be determined later. Until then, heed the call.